Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of our Spring 2016 season here at the Virtual Office Hours. This is our final episode of the Spring 2016 season. My name is John Fia. I teach American history here at Messiah College. I have the Founding Fathers with me, and of course, Abby Blakeney. Last week, you remember, we said that Abby is heading off for the summer. She'll be back in the fall. But again, I want to give her a round of applause. Great job, Abby. One of these days, we're going to get you on the other side of the camera, and I'll do an interview with you. She doesn't seem to, she's not excited about that. But anyway, we have been discussing the themes in Was America Founded as a Christian Nation? A Historical Introduction. And in that book, we have been looking specifically at least the last couple of weeks, at the religion of the Founding Fathers. The book will be out in the fall in a revised edition, so that's why we've been revisiting, actually, the themes in this book all year, back in the fall 2015 and spring 2016. By the way, we will be back in the fall 2016, as I just mentioned. If you have any ideas about episodes or themes for the fall, I'm more than open. Get a hold of me on Twitter or Facebook, or you can email me and make some suggestions, because we're looking for themes for the fall 2016 episodes. In our last episode on the Founding Fathers, we do not want to look at one particular Founding Father. We've looked at Washington, we've looked at Adams, we've looked at Jefferson. We haven't looked at Madison and Monroe, but we did look at Ben Franklin. Today I want to look at three Founding Fathers very quickly, who we might describe as Orthodox Christians, or Christians that, I should say, or founders that, who today's Christian right, or those who want to argue that the Founding Fathers were all Christians, might be able to look at and appeal to. Remember, the Founding Fathers are a very eclectic group when it comes to religion. Many of them were skeptics, but there were Founding Fathers who believed in what we would call historic Orthodox Christianity. And I want to talk briefly about three of them. The first one was the only minister to sign the Declaration of Independence. His name was John Witherspoon. He was the president of what today is Princeton University. Back then it was known as the College of New Jersey at Princeton. He came over from Scotland, where he was a Presbyterian minister. He came over in 1768 to take over the college. Witherspoon was very much interested in creating young men at Princeton who were both devout Christians and devout patriots. And in many ways, we can trace the language of God and country that we often hear today back to people like John Witherspoon. Witherspoon was a man of great faith, but he was also a man who believed in a nation defined by morality. And for Witherspoon, that morality didn't necessarily have to come from Christians, but he believed that it was essential to be virtuous, or to sacrifice one's interest for the greater good of the Republic. And in that sense, he was maybe a little bit influenced by Enlightenment ideas, rather than believing that the only people who were able to contribute to the moral good of the country were Christians. Witherspoon, a devout Christian, also believed that there were non-Christians who could also be moral because they had an innate moral sense or a conscience. The second figure that we would put in this Orthodox camp, and there are others, we're just going to mention three, is John Jay, author of the Federalist Papers, the first Supreme Court Justice, a governor of New York, actually a topic near and dear to my heart right now. He was the second president of the American Bible Society. John Jay was an Anglican from New York. Again, we would probably describe him as an Orthodox Christian. Deep belief in the providence of God and the inspiration of the Bible, and probably one of the, along with some of the New England Founding Fathers, one of the strongest anti-Catholic founders of the group. Really had a hard time reconciling Catholicism with Protestant faith and the fate of the nation. We saw a little bit about this. We saw a little bit of this in John Adams a few weeks ago. And then finally, Samuel Adams, who is very much a product of his Puritan upbringing in Massachusetts, much like his cousin John Adams was. Adams was a staunch defender of what we commonly would call Christian republicanism. Much like Witherspoon, he believed that the public was only going to survive if people remained virtuous and sacrificed their own interests for the greater good. And Adams really saw this kind of sacrifice as a spiritual exercise, right? Sacrificing your will to the common cause. He also very much feared strong government. Strong centralized government. So he was actually an opponent of the United States Constitution, which is very interesting because today so many Christian thinkers who try to dabble in the past try to suggest that the founders were all were Christians and great defenders of the Constitution. That wasn't always the case, and clearly Sam Adams is one of those examples. So is actually another Orthodox founder we could name, Patrick Henry, but we won't have time to go into him. So there you have it. There's at least 3 of the Orthodox founders, right? Orthodox Christians who were also present at the founding. So again, this, as I said before, the founding fathers are a very, very mixed group. So if you gain anything from the last several weeks of this series, it should be that when you talk about the founders and their faith, you don't do it in a generic way. I bristle whenever I hear people say, well, the founding fathers all believed. That's certainly not the case. They were very, very diverse. Well, thank you for watching this spring and actually for the entire 2015-2016 season. We will be back in the fall, Lord willing, with more episodes here at the Virtual Office Hours. Have a great summer, everyone.